This is the anthem. Here's what you came for.
Welcome to the Disney Beat, a podcast brought to you by thedisinsider.com. My name is Sean Nyberg, and I will be covering all of the Disney headlines to keep you informed as you start your week.
Happening right now.
Hello there, this is Sean Nyberg, and this podcast is being recorded on the evening of Sunday, November 22nd, 2020. All right, let's do this. I want to start the podcast by saying happy birthday to Mickey and Minnie Mouse. Last Wednesday, November 18th, the famous duo celebrated their 92nd birthday. It was all the way back in 1928 that the two made their debut in the film Steamboat Willie. They've been keeping us entertained and warming our hearts ever since. So happy birthday to those two lovebirds. So we're going to start off, as we always do, with some parks news. So this last week, Disney's chairman of Parks, Experience, and Products, Josh D'Amaro, addressed the IAAPA, which is the International Association of Amusement Parks and Attractions. They have a yearly convention that's typically held in person, which allows for ride makers, food vendors, and anyone connected to the theme park industry to present their newest creations. This year's event was held virtually, and D'Amaro from Disney kicked it off with a presentation that was filled with all sorts of goodies. So there was a lot shared, but at the same time, there wasn't a lot of actual information given. It was primarily new construction photos, concept art, and videos of upcoming ride vehicles. He did announce that the much anticipated Remy's Ratatouille Adventure, the ride, it'll be opening in Walt Disney World's Epcot in 2021. So this ride is a clone from Walt Disney Studios Park in the Disneyland Paris resort. The attraction is being built in the France Pavilion in Epcot and has basically been completed since earlier this year. It was supposed to have been opened already, but COVID-19 pushed the opening back. And so we knew the ride was basically done. So there was a lot of questions if they would open it for the holiday season or if they wanted to save it when COVID-19 was less of an issue so they could have like a large ceremony and celebration and really ask people to come in big numbers. And if that was the case, they needed to wait. So we weren't quite sure, but it was announced last Monday that they decided to wait until 2021. They didn't give us a specific date, so we don't know if it's going to be early on or if they're going to wait until, there's more widespread use of a vaccine or whatever to have a bigger opening. But we do know it's not going to happen this year. So it was also shared by D'Amaro that the Splash Mountain retheme to Princess and the Frog was being fast-tracked. Now, that's all that was shared. And it led to some confusion. People weren't sure if they meant that they were going to fast-track it starting now, so it would be themed earlier than they had previously planned, or if the announcement this past summer was fast-tracked to meet with changing cultural norms. So an announcement of something being fast-tracked does not mean a lot if we do not know the initial time frame for the project, right? So we still anticipate the ride Splash Mountain to open in its current iteration whenever Disneyland reopens next year, at least for a little while, because the version in Magic Kingdom, which is also going to be rethemed, they reopened this summer as part of their phased reopening, and there was a huge rush of people to come in and buy Splash Mountain merchandise and ride the ride for presumably their last time. And so I really do not see Disney giving up that opportunity for all the merchandise sales, and for everyone to kind of have their one last visit to the Splash Mountain at Disneyland. But so that's kind of where the confusion is. So all we heard was that the retheme is being fast tracked. Again, does that mean that it was fast tracked when they announced it this summer, or it's going to be fast tracked moving forward? We just know that it's a priority and it's still on the books to be done. So we also got new images of the Star Wars Galactic Star Cruiser, also known as the Star Wars Hotel. Much to Disney's dismay, I believe that's what, the shorthand, the Star Wars Hotel. Their official name, again, is the Star Wars Galactic Star Cruiser. This is being built at the Walt Disney World Resort out in Florida, and it's connected to or next to the Disney's Hollywood studio. The photos that they released last Monday showed the inside of the cabins, and they were remarkably similar to the concept art previously released. I have to be honest with you guys, it took me a minute to realize that they were actual photos because they were so similar to the concept art, which gave fans a lot of hope that this project is going to live up to the sky-high expectations set by the company. The Galactic Star Cruiser is technically a hotel with entertainment elements that are fully immersive. The better way to kind of think of this project is think of it as a cruise ship on land. And the only stop it makes is taking guests over to Galaxy's Edge. We do know that you can that they're going to do this where you reserve 3-day, 2-night stays, and you can't do less, you can't do more. And when you board this ship, you are fully immersed in the story from the second you arrive to the second you leave 3 days later. It's going to be like you get on there and then they're going to send you up like you're floating in space, and where the windows would be, there's screens and it makes it look like you're out in space. And then when you come back to land to go visit Galaxy's Edge and stuff, that, you take a transport ship back, and it's going to be, use motion simulator technology and all this incredible stuff. So, that's the plan, right? And since if you can tell from me just explaining that a little bit, this is a huge project, and it's also going to hold a very small number of guests. Okay, so it's going to be one of those really high-end premier options that they're going to provide. So, but because of this, there was a lot of fear that it would be cut or at least put on hold when they announced that due to COVID-19, many of the projects around the parks were being halted and or paused. And in Disney parks lingo, oftentimes paused means canceled. So there was a lot of fear of that, but it has been assured that this is moving forward at full speed, and we can see it in construction video of the outside, which looks basically complete. And now that we're getting some images from inside the cabins, it looks like this is going forward pretty quick. It's going to be people in small enclosed areas, so I don't anticipate this is going to open early next year or even in the first half of next year, but depending on how the vaccine rolls out and how successful they are with that, we could see it next summer. We don't have a date yet, but that's kind of the time frame we're looking at. But we're going to be talking a lot about this once more is revealed, and obviously, of course, when it finally opens. As part of this address to IAPA, we got some small clips of new video showing the ride vehicles on the track for Guardians of the Galaxy Cosmic Rewind, which is being built in Epcot. This is a really cool ride. We know a lot about it, but it's also a lot of it's new technology, so we don't know exactly how it's going to look. But it's like a roller coaster track, so you can be on a roller coaster track, but the vehicle can pivot like an omni-mover, which is like what you use when you're on Haunted Mansion. You know how you sit there in this thing and the ride rotates to make you look at certain elements in the ride. Now imagine that on a roller coaster track. So they showed some video of a test track they set up for it, so we could see kind of what it looks like. And we also got some still images from inside of the show building that they're building right now. So I will say I'm excited for it. It does look a little nauseating if you are someone who has issues with that kind of stuff, being spun around, because you are on a track and that's like a roller coaster track, like you're being launched in reverse, and the vehicle is going to be spinning, like rotating as the track takes it along. So a lot of movement going on there. I'm excited for it though. I don't get too sick on those stuff, so I'm looking forward to it. We also saw a video of the loading zone for Spider-Man Web Slinger. I believe it's Web Slinger Spider-Man Adventure is the name of the ride. It's it's the new ride that's built inside of Disney's California Adventure over at Disneyland Park in Anaheim, or the Disneyland Resort in Anaheim. It is built inside the new land that they're working on, Avengers Campus, which is Marvel themed. And they're done with the ride. I mean, this is supposed to have opened this summer, so they're done. Again, we don't even know when Disneyland's going to open, so we don't know what their plans for when they're going to open Avengers Campus and when this ride. But, again, next summer is probably the best bet. It's just a really easy thing to say. We really don't know. But it was cool to see the actual vehicles and how you load and just to see them actually, not just pictures or concept art. We got new images from the Marvel themed hotel, which is coming to the Disneyland Paris resort next year. We got more construction images of the Zootopia land that is being built in Shanghai Disneyland. We saw the Castle of Magic Dreams in all of its glory at the Hong Kong Disneyland. This castle officially opened this past week, and it's huge. It's amazing. The castle at Hong Kong Disneyland is it's small. It's small, like the Anaheim Disneyland castle, or it was small. And, the one in Anaheim at Disneyland is small, but it is considered one of the best just because it was the one that Walt Disney built, right? He was alive when that was built. He was there when it was built. He designed it, or, was part of the whole process. So that gets cut some slack because, it was 1955, right? The one in Hong Kong was built, in the 2000s, and it was small. So it's kind of been, a little embarrassing. So this was a huge thing that was really needed for that park to really grow. It's kind of been considered, one of the smaller, kind of forgotten park a little bit, even though it's new. So this is huge for that park. The Castle of Magic Dreams opened up. And we also got a number of other images for other projects, around all the different parks in Tokyo Disneyland. And then, of course, like I said, Hong Kong, Shanghai, the Paris, Walt Disney World in Florida, and the one in the original in Anaheim. So while this address only provided one major announcement regarding 2021 opening date of Ratatouille, it was a much needed boost of energy for Disney Parks fans like myself. D'Amaro is one of those rare, universally loved execs, especially Disney executives. They're just an easy target for people to, legitimately and oftentimes unwarranted criticism towards them. But, Josh D'Amaro, who's was moved into this role, basically overseeing all the parks and the resorts and experiences and products. People love him. And it's just really cool to hear from him, his upbeat speech, also combined with the new videos and images. And it just really helped to shine a bright light at the end of a dark tunnel for the theme park industry. It has been a very, very dark time for the industry, for people who work in the industry. People have been losing their jobs. People like me who are fans haven't been able to go. Those who do go in areas where they can go, it's a very sterile, for no pun intended, experience. So it just really kind of revived a lot of our enthusiasm for the upcoming projects. Following that event, though, we did get a sprinkling of other park news throughout the week. It was announced that the Park Hopper ticket was coming back to Walt Disney World starting on January 1st. So when the resort reopened this summer in Florida, this option for the Park Hopper ticket or Park Hopper pass was not available, as they worked hard to keep the park attendance down, and they didn't want people traveling between the parks, and they really want to be able to keep an eye on the numbers. So the pass will come back on January 1st, but it's not going to come back in its prior glory quite yet. You will still have to reserve the 2 parks you want to visit for that specific day. So you can't just, bounce around whenever you want. And you cannot visit the second park that you booked until you visited the first. And you can't hop to the second park until after 2 p.m. And the park hours will remain roughly the same as they are now, or at least what they're talking about for December. So you might only get 4 or 5 hours at the second park, depending on the park and the day of the week. So, This is progress. We seek Disney park progress, not Disney park perfection. So this is, moving in the right direction. And, it's really good news for people who are heading out to Walt Disney World. So in Epcot news, we got an answer to a question. So Epcot, it's one of the 4 theme parks in the Walt Disney World Resort out in Florida. And we got an answer to a question that has been bouncing around the fan community. And that is, what will happen to the harmonious barges during the day? This likely doesn't mean anything to a lot of people listening to this who don't follow the parks closely without a quick explanation. So Disney promised a huge new nighttime show for Epcot that would replace the beloved, and I underline, bold, capitalized, beloved show Illuminations. This was the previous show that took place in the World Showcase Lagoon at Epcot. This had been around in various forms for decades, and people absolutely loved it. So the announcement that it was being replaced caused the usual Disney fan uproar. You get used to these things the more you stick around, trust me. Disney ended Illuminations, and just prior to COVID-19, it had opened its, I don't want to call it a filler show because it was, I thought it was very, very impressive, but the short-term show is called Epcot Forever. This was intended to last until Harmonious was complete, and then they would transition fully over to Harmonious, and then that would remain the show, up until all the fans loved it, and then the evil Disney execs would remove it, right? So while we had seen concept art for Harmonious, there is still a lot that has not been revealed about what this show has to offer. We do know that Harmonious consists of, the structure of the actual show has 3 huge barges that will house many of the effects, and they sit out in the middle of this lagoon. So if you've never been there, you haven't seen pictures, it's like a huge lagoon, right? It's a big lake, and normally you can see across it, and it's beautiful, and you can see all around and see all the different showcases and everything. But for Harmonious, they were going to have these 3 large barges. These are so large, though, that they could not be pulled out every evening just for Harmonious and then pulled back to the shore when it wasn't being used. So, this irked people, as the idea of these eyesores sitting in the lagoon all day, every day, just added to the skepticism from Disney fans who were already frustrated about the change. Well, this last week we got more information regarding these barges, and we got some concept art to go along with this info. These 3 barges will stay permanently in the lagoon as expected, but they will act as fountains, as water fountains throughout the day. So this will add a beautiful water feature and just bring kinetic energy to the park. So they're not just going to be these 3 large metal barges just sitting out there, just doing nothing, So that's exciting. So we know they're going to do something with it. We love water features, and, it's still going to be people are still highly skeptical. I am not one of those. I think it's going to be amazing, and I'm really looking forward to it. Epcot has always been a home to some amazing fountains, and this appears to be the latest and greatest. And then of course at night it comes alive, as part of the show. We also got word that Epcot's overhaul will also consist of a new lighting elements for the outside of Spaceship Earth. So Spaceship Earth is the huge geodesic sphere that is used as the park symbol. People often describe it as the big golf ball. And these new lighting effects will bring this huge central structure. It'll pull it into the nighttime shows and help expand the energy all around the park. So we just got, a little concept art for it, but they're going to, light it up and have the lighting, the changes and stuff sync with other parts of the park. So, it's cool that they're using such an important symbol for the park in the evenings with all the amazing technology they have with lights. So, and then to wrap up the park news, it wouldn't be a Disney Beat episode without some updates on COVID-19 restrictions. So the Disneyland Paris resort is currently closed as the country of France is in the middle of a nationwide lockdown. During this time, Disneyland Paris has updated their safety measures on their website. for when they reopen. And one change caught our eye this past week, and it was that they're going to require that all guests, regardless of age, will be required to wear masks. Previously, they did not require masks for children under a certain age. I believe it was like 12 at one point, and then they changed it to like 8 or something, but none of that matters because they removed all those exemptions. And moving forward, everyone, regardless of age, is going to be required to wear masks. Over on Disney Plus. So that was the park news. Now we're going to move to Disney Plus. Another week brings another round of new trailers, as we often get, for upcoming Disney Plus projects, all of which can be viewed over on the disinsider.com, thedisinsider.com. The first is a trailer for the upcoming High School the Musical, the Holiday Special. And there's a new trailer for that over on the Disney Insider, and that is for the special, which is going to premiere on Disney Plus on Friday, December 11th, which is my sister's birthday. Happy birthday coming up. The second trailer is our first look at the upcoming Disney Plus original Christmas comedy called Godmothered, all one word, starring Isla Fisher and Jillian Bell. This movie will debut on Disney Plus on Friday, December 4th, and you can check out both trailers over at thedisinsider.com. Last week, we reported that Disney has tapped Crazy Rich Asians director John Chu to direct an upcoming live-action remake of Lilo and Stitch. This week, we can report on the latest casting rumor. This is technically labeled as a rumor since we haven't been able to get multiple sources to verify the story, but the source for this information has always been strong and reliable. So technically it's a rumor still, but we believe that that Disney has hired 16-year-old Hawaiian actress Sienna Agudong, I believe, Agudong, to play Lilo in the new film. So Agudong has worked with the company before, starring in the Disney Channel original movie Upside Down Magic. And the interesting note about this actress is that she is 16, and the character she is playing is 6 years old. So we have all seen actors playing ages that differ from their own. All those high schoolers that we see in movies that the actors are like 28, right? So we've seen that before, but this just seems particularly noteworthy because, 6 to 16 is a little different than like 26 to 36. So that, just begs the question, will the upcoming remake present Lilo as a teenager? Or they're going to try to play her age down. So we don't know yet, and we'll keep an eye on this project and keep you guys posted on anything new and if that story gets confirmed. As season 2 of The Mandalorian continues to delight fans and draw huge numbers to Disney Plus, we are learning of a new spin-off series that is in development. We have already reported on the news that there is a Cara Dune Bo-Katan series being planned, but this week we have learned that another series has begun preliminary casting. This show would revolve around Boba Fett. It is unclear the exact focus of the new series, but we know that 2 actors are in negotiations to star in it. First is Jordan Bolger, best known for his role in Peaky Blinders. He is up for a supporting character named Skad, S-K-A-D. Second is actress Sophie Thatcher, most known for her role in the Exorcist series, and she is up for the character Drash, D-R-A-S-H, another supporting role. No other information is available on the second spin-off series, but it is great to see that the Star Wars property is continuing to grow on Disney Plus. So it's just awesome, and people are really, really loving this season of The Mandalorian, and so this just bodes well for the company. In news that I would like to categorize as both surprising news and news that comes as no surprise, is Disney is reportedly discussing moving some big movies from their intended theatrical release on Disney Plus. From their intended theatrical release to Disney Plus. That's good that I messed that up so I could clarify it, because that's the important thing here. They had these movies that were lined up to be released in the theaters. COVID-19 has really shifted the focus to Disney Plus. And now, even though these movies are planned to be released once things are more in control regarding COVID, it appears they're going to be shifting these over to Disney Plus. So the 3 shows or the 3 movies that we can report have specifically been considered. The first is Cruella, which I've talked about a few times on here, and I still have a hard time saying. This is the live-action prequel to 101 Dalmatians that centers around the origin of the Cruella de Vil character. This film will star Emma Stone as Cruella and was initially planned to be released in late May of next year. However, this looks to be making the jump over to Disney Plus instead. The second film is Peter Pan and Wendy. This film is expected to begin filming in March, so March of this upcoming year. The initial plan for this project was for it to be a Disney Plus release, but Disney changed course and moved it to a theatrical release. It appears that they are once again changing their position and intending to release this film on their streaming platform. So Peter Pan and Wendy, another live action remake. This one actually was originally planned for Disney Plus. Moved to the theaters and now being moved back to Disney Plus. And like I said, filming is expected to begin in March. The third film is Pinocchio, which is expected to begin production next month. We've discussed this. Well, the third film is Pinocchio, the live action Pinocchio, the live action remake. So we don't know if that's going to be the title of it. I doubt it. But it, they don't have a title release yet. So the third film that we're talking about is a live action remake of Pinocchio. We've discussed this movie on this podcast in the past. It is being directed by Robert Zemeckis, who's best known for Back to the Future, Forrest Gump, and Who Framed Roger Rabbit. And it's starring Tom Hanks as Geppetto. Disney has yet to officially announce these changes, but they seem to track with current trends. And they come from well-known sources within the company. And they say that changes are to be announced imminently. Pinocchio and Peter Pan and Wendy are planned to be released in 2022. And like I said earlier, Cruella is expected to be released at the end of May of next year. Over in the Disney films, so finally, some good news for Indiana Jones fans. The 5th installment of the film franchise is set to begin production on August of 2021. This film has been in development limbo for years, going through a number of writers and directors. Fans have been waiting for actual production to begin on this film for a very, very long time. James Mangold will direct the film. He is best known for his work on the movie Logan. He took over the directing job from Steven Spielberg earlier this year, but Spielberg is going to stay on and serve as executive producer with Kathleen Kennedy and Frank Marshall as producers. Harrison Ford will be reprising his classic role, and the legendary John Williams will return to score the film. The current release date for the film is July 29th, 2022, but as we say every week here on the Disney Beat, these release dates are subject and likely to change as the COVID-19 pandemic has changed nearly every major anticipated release date. It is being reported that James Gunn's Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3 will start filming in late 2021. Story details on this project are being kept under wraps, but the last time we saw the Guardians was at the end of Avengers Endgame, where the crew was joined by Thor as they searched for Gamora. Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3 has yet to announce a release date. Also want to note that Guardians of the Galaxy, I mentioned earlier that there's a ride coming to Epcot, right? Guardians of the Galaxy Cosmic Rewind. There's a lot of footage of these characters throughout the queue, which, the line leading up to the ride, and throughout the ride itself. They have planned to film these portions while they're filming Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3 because, they'll have the hair, makeup, lighting, camera crew, actors. Everyone will be there. So while we didn't anticipate that ride to be coming out until 2022 anyway, this is just another confirmation that the ride won't be done until then because they're not even filming this movie until the end of next year. So during the filming of the movie, they'll film the ride segments. So that's, we get a little Disney film and a little Disney Parks news all in one. So there you go, you guys. 2 for the price of 1, still free. The past few years have not been kind to the Predator film franchise. The last movie was riddled with controversy and poor critical reviews. However, it looks like the Disney-owned 20th Century Studios is getting ready for a new Predator film, as they have tapped Don Trachtenberg to direct the new project. Trachtenberg is best known for his breakout hit 10 Cloverfield Lane, and there are no further details known about this film. But if you're a Predator fan or you like that franchise, the last film was not very well received by anyone. So there may have been some concern about it not being, given much love, but it looks like they're doing another film. So that's good. And in other early development news, we are getting some information regarding an upcoming Deadpool 3 film starring Ryan Reynolds. This series is owned by Fox. And so the first two movies were produced under Fox. And when Disney purchased 20th Century Fox, it became property of Disney when they purchased the company a few years back. So Deadpool, so there's a lot of concern maybe. So if you've seen the movies, you know that Deadpool is known for its adult themes and mature content. So the acquisition by Disney made some people worried that the film series would either come to an end or it would be significantly watered down to like a PG-13 or PG rating. Well, we are happy to report that they plan to continue to add films to the franchise, and they have no plans to soften the edge. While not much is known about the upcoming film, we know that the studio plans for it to maintain its R rating, and we do know that it'll be written by the Molyneux, I believe, Molyneux, Molyneux, someone who speaks, I believe that's French, will probably be able to pronounce it better, sisters. So they're two sisters, and they're best known for their work on the groundbreaking animated hit Bob's Burgers. So they are set to write the upcoming Deadpool 3. We already know it's going to be expected to have an R rating, and these sisters are not known for being, they're known to live up to the previous standards set by Deadpool, which are amazing films, which are funny, raunchy, a lot of adult content, mature themes. So Deadpool fans can rejoice. Disney's not going to Disneyfy that one. So Disney owns, when they got 20th Century Fox, and they got a bunch of these other like studios that produce movies that aren't typically Disney type movies. And a lot of these like adult movies, not so much the Marvel or the superhero stuff, but they're released under a company called Searchlight Pictures. Searchlight Pictures. Disney is the parent company. And so, it is Disney News, but Searchlight Pictures is more kind of, it's like adult movies, like maybe horror, thriller, more adult drama, ones that aren't big action films, ones that aren't, kids films. So Searchlight Pictures is set to release a new horror film directed by Alexander Aja, A-J-A, Alexander Aja is set to direct the new horror film for Disney Searchlight Pictures. The film is called Elijah. So Aja is best known for his surprise horror hit from last year, Crawl, which I forced my fiance to watch with me. It is about this daughter, and she's trying to like save her family or her dad, I believe. And there's like a flood, and there's crocodiles or alligators. I'm not from Florida. I don't know the difference. Everywhere. It's good though. It's like one of those like really kind of cheesy, but it's really entertaining. So he made a big name for himself with that movie. And so he's now on to direct this new movie called Elijah. The new film is said to be, so this is what this new movie is about. It's said to follow a young boy who invites a mysterious man into his home, believing the stranger to be the key to saving his sick mother. As increasingly disturbing things start to happen around the house, the boy soon realizes that the sinister stranger is not the savior he claims to be. Tale as old as time, guys. Don't invite strange men into your house thinking they're going to be a savior. So that's the rundown for Elijah. And so, yeah, this is going to be released coming up under Disney Searchlight Pictures. And finally on Hulu, under Hulu, because remember Disney owns Hulu. I just, I didn't have any news about Hulu this week, but I just want to say on a personal note, earlier Sunday, I watched the movie Run. So it was a movie that was released exclusively on Hulu this past week, and it stars Sarah Paulson. And let me just tell you, it is crazy. This is not a formal review, but I just want to tell you, I wouldn't classify it as horror. It's more of a thriller, but it is not for the faint of heart. It gave me major Misery vibes, even a bit of Hitchcock's Rear Window. So if you like intense thrills, you should definitely check it out. If you have mother issues, you should check it out too. And in my book, Sarah Paulson can do no wrong. It's very good. It's exclusively streaming on Hulu. It was supposed to be released in theaters, how many times do we have to say this, right? It was going to be released during COVID. They held off on the release. Hulu bought it to get exclusive rights to release it, and now they have. So check that out if you like thrillers. It's called Run, starring Sarah Paulson. So I just want to wish everyone a happy Thanksgiving, and I hope that everyone stays safe this week and is able to give thanks virtually to all of their loved ones. I am grateful for all of you. This podcast is still very new, but the audience numbers have been growing substantially week after week, and the reviews have been great, and I really, really appreciate that. You have no idea. I'm incredibly grateful to my new friends over at thedisinsider.com, and has been a huge joy to join such a well-respected team. I am grateful for my amazing fiance, Paul, my mom, whom I love, my dad, who is battling stage 4 lung cancer and fighting his hardest. I love him to death. My sister and her family, my fiance's family, my longtime friends, my Disney friends, my sobriety family, and everyone who makes me laugh, takes my call when I cry, and is there for me in all the moments in between. Happy Thanksgiving to all of you. On behalf of myself and those of us here at the Disney Beat, along with the Disney Insider, we wish everyone good health and prosperity. With that, I want to thank you for listening. If you like the show, please rate and review it on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Stitcher, or wherever else you listen. These ratings really help the show find new listeners. I also ask that you share this podcast with friends and family who love Disney or enjoy entertainment news. All stories can be found on thedisinsider.com. Follow us on Twitter and Instagram at the handle The Diz Insider, or on Facebook by searching The Diz Insider. You can follow me, Sean Nyberg, your host, on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram at Sean Nyberg, all one word. I also co-host the Disney podcast, Walt's Apartment, that comes out every Thursday, and the Disney Parks themed podcast, Extra Magic Hour, which is released every other week. So check those out as well. Thank you again for listening, and I will see you again next week for another edition of the Disney Beat Podcast. My name is Sean Nyberg, and have a fantastic week.